Today we're going to jump into something I think you guys are going to love, and that is the Crypto Power Index. It is a concept that we've been building here for years and have applied it to cryptocurrency and also blockchain in tracking sentiment and amplification on the, guess what, the metaverse. And we're going to dive into that today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Okay, so the metaverse has been obviously on the topic of everybody's tongue over the past few weeks. Mark Zuckerberg, of course, we have to thank for that. But also, I think just the movement that we've seen in the gaming industry. And Axie Infinity, I think, of course, led pretty much the charge where the metaverse was going and how gaming was going to start to at least evolve. And obviously now we've seen Axie really kind of just become the poster child of what we can expect from that. So what we decided to do and what we are doing on a constant basis here is we'll do this analysis, and we build this based off of an algorithm and an NLP project that we started building years ago that we've applied to this industry. And the cool thing is it delivers two things. One is it gives you a full understanding of the sentiment, which is probably, I think, the best way to measure what's happening in the crypto space because of the network effect that cryptocurrency and all these projects have on social media. Social media is the treasure trove of where sentiment can be measured. So we've been doing that for years. We've applied that. It's now in a tool we call the Crypto Power Index, and we're going to give you guys basically the first top 20 ranking out there for the metaverse in gaming. So let's just jump to our top 20 by market cap. This is something we just compiled. Obviously, you guys can go do this on your own, sort it out on CoinMarketCap, but I wanted to get you guys kind of in the place of understanding where and how quickly these projects shuffle position in terms of ranking when you flip over to sentiment and amplification. So obviously, Axie Infinity leading the way here at 9.8 billion. Then you've got Decentraland coming in at 3.3 billion. And what's interesting too is these numbers are dramatically changed when we see just small movements on some of these project tokens. A good example is Render token right now, who's on a fly. It literally has slid up since the time we did the chart to now at the time we're filming this, it slid up like 3 or 4 positions. So that's where market cap can really become a little bit unstable in the sense, I shouldn't say unstable, I should just say, if you're looking at trying to rank them by market cap, that's always a moving 8 ball that you've got to be in tracks. But you've got Engine Coin, of course, sitting there at 2.7 billion. Then you're looking at, of course, the Sandbox coming in 2.1. And then, I don't know, this one is one that I was a little surprised, and I think a lot of people have talked about this one before, but Radio Kaka is one that I just, if anything, I like the name. But it's one that has kind of come out of nowhere. If you look at some of the historical movement of where that one has come from, interesting stuff. So anyway, holding in at the number 5 position, and then Illuvium, Yield Guild Games, UFO Gaming, you've seen that one. We talked a lot about that one before. SuperFarm, just did a video on this. Render token, one that was brought in the studio by some of our research guys that are constantly out there in this space. Starlink, Star Atlas, one of my favorite projects. Vulcan Forge, one also that we started really tracking due to you, the community. And then off you go down into Merit World, Wilder World, My Neighbor Alice, Eternity, Redfox Labs, another one that I really like, and then Aurora, and then Star Atlas DAO. That's the top 20 by market cap. So what we did in the Power Index is we took that market cap, then applied the sentiment over the past 60 days to take a look at where the market was on these projects overall. And coming with that, now we've got 2 things that we can look at here, and one is going to be sentiment, the other is going to be amplification. We do this a lot with our analysis and our chart. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at those, most of our shows will get into charting, and we take these indices and we'll overlay those on our TradingView project, and it gives us at least a little bit of a, I won't say forward-looking, but it does give us some amplification understanding of where a project is going to a certain extent, if there's enough data in what we call a data credential to pull that in. I know we're getting into a lot of technical details, but I know you guys want to see top 20 by sentiment. So let's get into sentiment right now. So top 20 by sentiment, also ranking here as of 11/11, nice number. Axie Infinity still holding the number 1 position with both sentiment and market cap. And look here, things shuffle dramatically when you get into sentiment. You've got SuperFarm coming in number 2, 78.91, Redfox Labs, and then Render Token, Sandbox, Alice, Star Atlas, Illuvium, Decentraland, UFO Gaming Central, kind of dropping right there in the middle, Black Eye Galaxy, Aurora, Engine, Decentral Games, and so on. So you can kind of see the group all the way out to Star Atlas DAO and Starlink coming on the lower end. So this is the interesting thing that we watch on an ongoing basis, is the sentiment data, how it applies to some of these top moving projects. But if you're looking at sentiment, in many cases, that's usually driving price volume. Price volume is obviously driving the price of the project. So that's what we really take a very hard line at here, at least when our research is really understanding where sentiments come from. Are they showing consistent growth? And the way that I do that is if we see sentiment scoring, let's say in a chart like a Axie Infinity, and Axie Infinity, and so a good way to look at this is with Axie Infinity. They, and this is the way that I'll try to measure sentiment throughout a project, because if it can hold sentiment while the token or the project is either flatlining or trending down, then it's what we call pure. And in the essence, what that does is it gives us a much more accurate window and understanding of the sentiment data instead of the hype that typically will be happening around a project when it's on tilt. So that's the big factor. So if you compare to some of these versus over time of how that looks, and Axie Infinity is a good one. Let me jump over to the website just to kind of show you. This is a good example. We just posted this over on Diamond Circle. But you can kind of see here, sentiment 61 jumps dramatically, falters a little bit in the sideline, and then we get another big jump. So this is a good example of trying to really understand how sentiment is moving over a period of time, and it gives you a little bit of a forecast on how a project might work. Eventually we're going to make this available more so on the Diamond Circle, which will be more tools. We'll start dropping much more of our indice charts and analysis into Diamond Circle. You guys will get email updates on those, which hopefully can help you guys at least get your head around projects, but understand where sentiment is going on many of these projects. The other aspect of the CPI, the Crypto Power Index, is amplification. This is a very important one because amplification is what will help us on forecasting where a project is leading. And when we overlay that indice on top of what we're tracking in terms of price volume, that's where things get really interesting on trying to really understand that. So let me jump over to amplification right now. We'll bring that one up. So here we are with amplification on the top 20. Axie Infinity still holding, and I don't think that one is going to be tilted off if you compare. SuperFarm, again, comes in number 2, and Redfox. Now you got Star Atlas and Illuvium starting to shuffle. Black Eye Galaxy comes up. Sandbox drops a little bit on amplification. Render drops a little bit in comparison to sentiment. And then Seek VR, Decentraland, Neighbor Alice. This is where we get into amplification across a much wider viewpoint of many of these projects that come in. So amplification is one that is important in the essence of understanding what the top projects are based on amplification. Obviously, you saw the first slide there that was just on market cap. Once you start moving sentiment, you see other players start coming into the place or into the analysis, and then you go into amplification, which is how a particular project looks to be going forward based on what people are saying and doing that are either influencers or major brands, any kind of connectivity with, the typical ecosphere of what's happening in social media that helps, a post or a video get thousands of retweets or millions of views. Amplification works a lot like that in being able to identify that. We simply try to math that out and put it on a chart and track it against an overall price prediction, and that's where we get a lot of our price predictions from. So you guys have been following us along. We actually do our own scorecards. We take a look at our historical videos and whether or not it's held out, and it's continuing to prove out fairly if consistent. Obviously, we don't and you can't predict some of those crazy moves. Axie was one of the ones that when we charted it the very first time, we charted it up. We just didn't chart it up to the vertical growth and the parabolic growth that actually ended up taking. So that's the things you have to watch for, in essence, is these massive moves, which are almost untraceable or untrackable in any kind of data, because the data is coming in so fast that being able to respond to that, you'd almost need a real-time indexing. Not that we aren't trying to work on that. It's been something that we've been kind of looking to, of trying to, how do we apply this to a real-time application to maybe give this as a service down the road. But anyway, amplification, sentiment, and of course the market cap. We'll probably end up dropping these out on Twitter so you guys can retweet some of this stuff, or you can grab some screenshots here on where this is going. But a lot of movement in the space. That's the main thing here to take attention to, is that Metaverse and gaming are definitely in the ranks. If you compare this to the altcoins, the major cap altcoins, a lot of these would line up on sentiment and amplification next to projects like Polygon, next to projects like Solana, AVAX, Avalanche. For those to be able to hold their own in terms of how the community is talking and spreading word about these projects, that tells me a lot. And it's probably why you guys are continuing to see a lot more coverage here on this channel, is because there's a lot of indicators that are pushing this market into a big position for the coming months and maybe over the next year. This could be kind of the new altcoin identifier out there in terms of these kinds of projects. And what I mean by that is just gaming and Metaverse really moving heavily. Still, just as a full disclosure, Metaverse and gaming, very risky, not investment advice for you guys, but it is something where we'll put data and all that good stuff together. Hopefully it gets you just moving in the right direction in terms of research, because that's the number one thing you need right now, is understanding how this is all flying. So good. If you want to see more of these kinds of rankings as we get into more projects, we're looking at doing right now with up and coming projects. We're looking at doing one on altcoins. If you'd like to see that, hit it in the comments below. Let us know. And of course, don't forget, join the Diamond Circle. It's very simple. You're going to be able to get a lot more of this kind of stuff in the Diamond Circle. It's free to join. You just drop your email in there, give us your information, and hopefully we'll be able to, maybe you'll win some digital assets, but at the very least, you're going to get information that is going to help you guys hopefully move down your crypto journey and move into the next layer of where you're going on this whole, whether it's a hobby or it's an investment, whatever it might be. Hopefully all that that idea helps you guys out there from the Diamond Circle. Easy to access, free to join. All right, if you guys are listening in over on the podcast right now, the number one thing to do over there is just jump right over here to the YouTube channel. I know you like the podcast. I understand that. Thank you for the comments. But the YouTube channel is going to give you all this great graphics, these charts, these rankings, as well as these massive interviews that I think really you need to see to truly experience, because you can tell a lot by how an interview is just by body language. So many of those things that you can't pick up in the audio version. So jump over to YouTube, subscribe so you'll get the notifications when we go live, and other great drops in terms of content. If you want to reach out to me, it's right here on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.